Grace, aka Werevlog, screenplay, page 162, starts Englander Sports Pub and Restaurant. Exterior, the Englander Sports Pub and Restaurant, night. Mark, the Uber driver, pulls up to the vacant spot. John Blacksmith and Gerald Olden III sit in the back. This is the bar you requested, the Englander. Feels like home. Maybe they have fish and chips? We are going to need more than that planning this next trip to Grace's ranch. Interior, the Englander Sport Pub and Restaurant that night. John and Gerald sit at the bar. John sips a tall pint of beer. Gerald stares at a tall glass of sparkling tonic. I rarely drank pints, so this is an English-style pub in a small Texas town. No pint for me tonight. I need to be sober for planning the next trip to Grace's home. Just tonic for now. Rainey has caught on to us, and now the authorities are involved. We can't let the werewolf live. I'm not so sure the werewolf is Grace. He may have something to do with it, but I don't think he is cursed. So why are we here? Gerald pulls out a map of the ranch and displays it across the bar. He refers to the map as he speaks. We need to get on his ranch and plan a deeper investigation. According to the cattle mutilations and the missing townfolk, the werewolf travels along these trails, right behind Grace's ranch. Gerald points to the map. The werewolf must be leaving from this very point to make its kills. The last mutilations, as well as the missing townfolk, were reported after each full moon. The mutilations and missing victims all happened only miles from Grace's ranch. What is the plan of attack? There is a backfield behind his place. I say we take entry from here. We dig under the fence at the valley, make our way in. Stay east of the main house. Near the barn, there lies a trail of bushes and mesquite. We could survey from there. We must go in late at night, wearing black camo. Use the night as our cover. Do some reconnaissance of the place first. We could plant some outdoor hunting cameras here and here, facing the bar and house. The battery-powered type that can see in the dark. I brought thermal goggles and infrared binoculars, but I don't have outdoor hunting cameras yet. We can get all that at the local hunting supply store. When? The next full moon we go in. This could be the time to try out old Sherry. We will definitely take her along. First, let's get equipped. According to Weatherbug, tomorrow night should be a full moon. The app tells me we are expecting rain, so there will be cloud cover. This could affect the transformation of the wolf. Exterior, Barksville Hunting Outlet day. John and Gerald hop out of Mark's Uber and walk in the hunting store. Interior, Barksville Hunting Outlet moments later. Gerald haggles with the customer rep Brad of Barksville Hunting Outlet. Hi, I'm Brad. Welcome to Barksville Hunting Outlet. What can I help you with? I need night camo that is not so pricey. Do you have anything that's less costly in stealth black? Let's see. They walk over to the dark hunting field jackets. Mandarin night camo. Field jacket is only $44. Outer shell material is polyester. We also have desert night camo windbreakers. The lightweight, packable, super water resistant. Works great as an outer layer on those cold, windy days. They run a little over $70. I may need to stick with the polyester. It's more my price range. I see. So this is for a hunting trip? John walks up. No. We're the ones in charge of killing the local werewolf. I see. Are you looking for night camo as well, sir? How much is Arctis Ghost Ghillie suit? That'll run you about $71.99. Pretty steep. This suit here is based on standard woodland BDU mesh. Over 6 pounds of mold-resistant synthetic thread is hand-sewn into this entirety of the suit, and then sewn on a second time to eliminate snags and sheds that are common with less ghillies. I'll take her. Do we pay up front? Do you carry hunting knives and silver? Cut to montage of equipment readying. Exterior, Barksville Motel, night before the full moon. John Blacksmith takes Sherry, the silver canister werewolf extinguisher, out of its case and begins flipping on switches. Extreme close-up Close-up, silver canister werewolf extinguisher. On the side of the silver canister is written in the dark silver, Old Sherry. She's good. Welcome to Old Sherry. Wait for the green light to flash. So wait for the green light before pulling the trigger on Old Sherry. Gotcha, John. That's how she works. Old Sherry won't fire unless the green light is flashing. Gerald attaches the thermal goggles around his neck and tries them on. The goggles are funky to look through. Hit the light. John turns the light off. POV of Gerald's goggles. The motel room is green and misty through the goggles. John waves his hand in the dark of the motel room and stands with the canister and a power stance. How does she look in infrared? Glowing like a shady green. Wow, this is amazing. I can see in the dark. These are very clear goggles. I can see the canister and your hand waving. Wow. I'll be in charge of Old Sherry. I want you to try the spray canister of liquid silver. It's a beta type. They get their equipment ready. Grace higher security. Interior, Grace's office room day. Grace. Yes, I'm interested in hiring private security to monitor my home. Yes, I'm interested in hiring private security to monitor my home. Cut 2. Backyard, fence line, full moon. I kind of like that. I'm going to keep that. So he says it twice, because sometimes you have to repeat yourself when you're on the phone. Hiring private security to monitor my home. So he says it, yeah. He says it twice. I guess maybe the operator didn't hear him or he's talking on the phone. I need to also make sure this is on phone too. So we're going to do a capital here. I'm so sorry, guys. I just have to do this on phone because I need to make at least some notes here. So I'm not going to be sending them nothing but the first draft. So backyard fence line, full moon. Exterior backyard fence line, night of the full moon. John Blacksmith is dressed in the ghillie suit he purchased from Barksville Hunting Outlet. He crawls on his belly under the fence line through a hole that has been dug. He has the silver flamethrower Old Sherry nestled to his back in a large backpack. Gerald Olin III is dressed in black hunting clothing and adjusts his infrared goggles. He approaches the fence line to speak to John on the other side. According to the map, that trail right there leads to the barn, and I'm going to dig down yonder and slip under the fence toward the hill. I'll meet you on the other side of the barn. I'll knock like this. Gerald Ullman mimes knocking in the air 3 times, and then pauses, and then knocks once more. 3 knocks, and then 1 knock. Got me? Got you. Good luck, my friend. You too, dear boy. I don't need luck. I got Old Sherry. Be careful. We must set our timers for 30 minutes. I'll see you at the barn in exactly 30. Get there on time, John, okay? John, set your timer. John sets his timer on his clunky, large Casio Men's dive wristwatch. John Blacksmith, my Casio is set. Be careful. You be careful. You too. Gerald walks along the fence line into the night. John Blacksmith pulls out his camera and begins vlogging himself. It's near midnight, full moon, and I'm outside of Grace Lippin's ranch and about to crawl under his fence through a hole in the ground I dug a few minutes ago. Both Silver Fang and I believe the werewolf leaves these grounds around this time of night during a full moon. We've decided to investigate the barn on his property. Silver Fang has wandered down the fence line and is going to enter by the hill. God be with me. I'm getting cold. It's getting cold outside, and I'm about to make my move under the fence here. I'll keep you posted. Vlog over for now. Cut 2. Exterior fence line on the hill moments later that night. Gerald Ullman III gets set up by the fence line and begins digging under the fence with a small hand shovel. He takes his smartphone out and begins vlogging himself. This is Silver Fang. Welcome to Monster Quest. We are here at the fence line along the hill on Grace Lippin's ranch. Somewhere out there is the beast. I have been given special weaponry by John Blacksmith, who does a YouTube show about silver weaponry in Oregon. We have traveled all the way to Barksville, Texas. I'm about to dig under his fence line, and we are going to meet up at the barn. Please pray for us. Tonight, we just might run into the werewolf we have been so eagerly hunting. God be with us. Heavenly Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thank you for all my days and days to come. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Also, please God, please bless this liquid silver spray canister that John gave me to kill the beast. And help me aim true when I see her. And watch over John on his trip to the barn, and watch over me as well, my dear Lord. Sometimes I don't think I know what I'm doing. Please forgive me, dear Lord. For now, vlog over. Gerald begins to crawl under the fence, and in a quiet voice, he recites scripture. Now we look through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. Cut 2. Barnyard chickens. Interior Grace barn. That night, John Blacksmith goes to the front door of the barn. He kicks at the barn's front door. The barn door flies open. There stands John holding the silver flamethrower. He corrects his stance to seem more powerful. He is now in a power stance, holding Old Sherry, aiming at the interior of the barn, looking for the beast. The barnyard behind him holds a chicken wire fence coop containing 6 full-grown chickens, which begin clucking nearly in unison. He doesn't look back and steps forward. The chickens dance around nervously behind him and cluck and then become silent. He stops. Hello? Hello? Anybody there? Remaining forward and not looking back. Why did you all get so quiet, chickens? Chicken? John Blacksmith stealthily enters the dark barn, only lit by the full moon. He pushes a top button on the silver flamethrower, and it begins to hiss. The green light flashes 3 times. Extreme close-up, green light flashing 3 times. He walks around holding the silver flamethrower and pulls the trigger and fires off a test round. Okay, something right here. We're gonna do, I'm just gonna say a long shot. Barn. Let's say moments later. There we go. And this is gonna be, on he, it's gonna be John. I just see it as a long shot. So long shot barn moments later. The silver flamethrower and pulls, so John walks around holding the silver flamethrower and pulls a trigger and fires off a test round. He turns on the laser sight and waves it across the interior of the barn, searching. Want to test me, babe? How about this for a quiz? She's called Old Sherry. She never misses her mark. Let's try her. He squeezes the trigger. The flamethrower spews a long, giant silver flame of fiery lava, igniting in the air and filling the barn with silver light. A deafening hiss arises from the flamethrower. He pulls the trigger again. The interior of the barn is illuminated in every cobweb and corner exposed by the bright silver light of Old Sherry. The flame ceases without any harm to the barn or the spiders crawling away in fear. Heck of a device, huh, Wolf? You don't want to show yourself now, do you, scaredy cat? And moves forward very slowly in the dark. The flamethrower continues hissing. He finds a ladder and puts the flamethrower down and turns it off. He straps the flamethrower on his back and begins climbing up to the attic of the barn. The wind pushes the front barn door closed. John stops on the ladder and looks back at the front door. He notices the front doors are now closed. The barn grows dark. Cut 2. Interior barn loft moments later. John Blacksmith reaches the top of the ladder, lugging the silver flamethrower. He stands up from the ladder and goes to the stack of hay bales. He looks behind the hay. A pitchfork is found stuck in the hay. He picks it up and turns around and looks down from the loft. Knock, knock, knock. There are 3 knocks at the front barn door. John Blacksmith adjusts the flamethrower tighter to his back by pulling a strap from the backpack. He crawls down the ladder and slowly walks to the front door. He opens the door. You're not Gerald. A long, wolf-like shadow falls over him. He reaches back to unload Old Sherry and is pushed back by shadowy hands. He falls to the ground and rolls over not to harm the device. Howling arises, whispering, Gerald, where are you? He begins crawling on his belly. Howling arises. John rolls over on his back. He's able to take the flamethrower out of the backpack and turns the device on. He waits for the green light. The shadow of the wolf covers him. Swoosh! A claw hits the side of his ribs, pushing him back toward the ladder. Old Sherry leaves his grip and is launched to the other side of the barn. John Blacksmith crawls towards the device. Give me a second. The shadow of the wolf falls over him again. Howling arises. Arr! Swoosh! The claw falls to his back. A few drops of blood fly onto the rung of the ladder. Dear Lord. He pulls out a small silver dagger from his backpack and throws it at the beast. The dagger sticks in its shoulder, and the wolfish creature cries out and runs into the corner of the barn and hides in the shadow. John takes out his camera, or what we can say, and sticks in the, the dagger sticks in it. I'm going to say wolfish right here, so we don't really know. So the dagger sticks in a wolfish shoulder, and the wolfish creature, maybe I could say wolf-like, so it's not so repetitive. Just make that like that. So the dagger sticks in a wolfish shoulder, in the wolfish shoulder, so we don't know the gender really right here. The dagger sticks in the wolfish shoulder, and the wolf-like creature cries out and runs into the corner of the barn and hides in the shadow. John takes out his camera and turns it on, talking into his DSLR Canon camera. This is John Blacksmith. I've cornered the beast in the barn. He's trying to kill me. I was able to pierce its shoulder with a silver throwing dagger. He's somewhere close. I'll keep you posted. Over and out. He presses the stop button on the camera and crawls under the ladder and behind a bale of hay. Cut to exterior back of barn moments later. Gerald Ullman III arrives at the back of the barn wearing his goggles, backpack, and carrying silver spray container. He hears commotion and then the howling on the inside. Dear boy, don't worry, I'm on my way. He finds a ladder leading up to the outside of the back door loft. He crawls up the ladder and enters the barn. Interior barn night. The werewolf corners John Blacksmith in the backyard barn. Gerald Ullman III enters the barn loft. He crawls down the ladder and sneaks over to the old Sherry. Picks up the canister and slowly walks over to the wolfish shadow. He is behind the shadow of the werewolf with the canister. So this would be Gerald. We'll just make this easier for everyone. Gerald is behind the shadow of the werewolf with the canister of liquid silver known as Old Sherry. Okay, let's get some. Let's see. Oh, how are you doing? Let's finish up this last page. Sorry about that, Linda. Gerald is behind the shadow of the werewolf with the canister of liquid silver known as Old Sherry. Pull the trigger on Old Sherry. Wait for the green light. I can't. I can only capture them. I was lying to you about killing the beasts. I only study werewolves. I don't kill them. John Blacksmith. Pull the freaking trigger before it kills me. Pull it. It's green, green, green. Pull the trigger. The monster turns to Gerald and hisses. Gerald closes his eyes and pulls the trigger on the canister. Oh, for the love of God, save me. I bet you look good in silver, huh, Rainey? Gerald pulls the trigger. The werewolf is struck by the liquid silver lava from the canister, and the beast runs out of the barn, yapping and howling. Gerald helps John into Grace's living room. So I need to capitalize these right here. And this one too. So we can see. They set up on the couch as John bleeds out from the wolfish scratch. Gerald and John make their way to the kitchen area. We'll capitalize these right here. And this one right here. Rainey knocks. This is all like listed as almost like notes. Ray knocks Gerald over and scratches his back. So we have this sequence right here. She picks him up and tosses him, and he goes flying across the room and crashes on the couch. He has a scratch mark on his back. Rainey bites off John Blacksmith's hand. So things happen like... Okay, and then we have John Blacksmith right here. Okay. John screams in pain, begins bleeding from his wound. Grace walks into the kitchen and finds Rainey. Okay, this is the next sequence too. Frying up John's hand in an iron skillet. Only her legs reveal she is a she-wolf. Rainey is only half a lycanthrope at the present moment as she cooks in her kitchen. John calls the authority on his cellular after he makes his report about the attack, and then finally dies. This will be John Blacksmith right here. So John Blacksmith dies right here. Gerald walks over to the kitchen area and gets hit by the she-wolf again and goes flying across. Let's do this right here. Gerald walks over to the kitchen area and gets hit by the she-wolf again and goes flying across the living room into the glass trophy cabinet. He falls over. Grace takes a silver dagger off the wall under Rainey's shrine to a rock and roll band. He attempts to stab her in the heart. The cat Garlene leaps into the air, bouncing off Rainey's face, and she falls over. The silver dagger lands on her leg, and she begins shapeshift back into a lady and runs out of the room. Rainey returns to her original womanly state. The she-wolf temporarily dies. Ray lies exhausted on the kitchen floor. So this is kind of establishing that she doesn't die. So originally she died, but I kept her alive. Grace goes to her and holds her hand. He gives her the secret handshake, which is they have shared in the past. It's going to be okay, honey. Just hang on. Something very strange happened to you, and you're going to get better. Okay, sweetie? Something in me hurts real bad. Just hang on. The paramedics are on their way. Gerald begins crying out in pain from the injury when he is thrown across the room. Grace goes to Gerald and holds, trying to get all these so it's kind of straight, and holds him as he's suffering and far too winded to talk. Cut to Grace's living room that night. Red and blue lights flash across the room. Sounds of a fire truck engine. I guess, yeah, that's right. That's, I guess whatever you call it. Sound of a fire truck's engine arises outside. Various emergency vehicles, sirens blare. Grace holds Gerald. Yeah, I guess the fire truck would be there. It has a larger engine, so we can use that. At this point, Gerald is mumbling incoherently. Okay. Also, I'm just going to put sounds of a fire truck's engine, and we'll just say an ambulance. So we'll just bring in an ambulance to arise outside, and so we have both of those, right? And then Grace right here. Okay. What is it, sir? What are you trying to say? Gerald just mumbles here. What did you say? More mumbling. I can't understand what you're saying, sir. He mumbles more. I don't know what you're saying. Please speak up. Speak clearly, sir. He mumbles more and more and continues mumbling. The ambulance medical personnel enters and begins working on Gerald, applying medical gear and bandages to his cuts and injuries. Sir, please move to the side. Sir, we need room. His heart is failing. We need the ECG. 1, 2, 3. The paramedic put him on a gurney. Paramedic 1. Trauma. Paramedic 2. The cut is bleeding out. Scissors. Give me that. Paramedic 2. Here. Paramedic 1. Cut. Gluing. Watch the heart. Keep him steady. Still breathing. Sound of heart beating. Medical equipment beats in unison. Electrical beating. More medical electronic sounds. Beep, 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 and so on. Paramedic 2. We're losing him. Keep this on him. We're losing him. Get him to the ambulance. Sir, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say, sire? Tell me what you're trying to say. What are you trying to say? Cut to interior of ambulance. Rain spills from the heavens. The paramedics work on Gerald, sealing his wounds and studying his heart. Cut to interior Grace's kitchen. Moments later, the electric cat feeder drops a batch of cat food in the kitty's bowl. Garlene struts up and snacks on the cat food. The Alexa device beeps and begins playing Year of the Cat by Al Stewart. The cat finishes his food and struts over to the windowsill and hops up and stares out at the ambulance which holds Gerald. We hear Grace scream at the ambulance as it slowly rolls away, flashing its lights down the driveway. What in the hell were you trying to say, sir? Sir, was there something you wanted to say? Yes. Long moment, metal equipment beeps. She was quite the bitch. The siren sounds on the ambulance. Gerald notices the cat, Garlene, is sitting on the windowsill. Licking his lips and staring out at the ambulance that carries his injured body away. He hears the cat meow. There is a sparkle in the cat's eye. Close-up, cat Garlene. Close-up, Gerald Oldman III. Music, You're the Cat by Alfred. I'm going to add cat Garlene eyes right here. It's actually Garlene the cat. Let's do something like that. Let's like this. Garlene the cat's. Garlene the cat eye. Garlene's. I don't know. I guess just Garlene's eyes, I guess. Close up, Gerald Oldman III. Music cue, Year of the Cat by Al Stewart. Fades up, music, fade out, credits, Grace. Okay. All right, this is my name, and then my email is jonathancolespivey@gmail.com. All right.